Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/comedy podcast network. Over 100,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to another Sports podcast. I am Joel Anderson.
I'm Jordan Pomaville.
And joining us, as always, is the sports outsider, Phil Ranta.
Hey, I'm Phil. I'm the sports outsider. Don't know much about sports. Let's get this started, shall we?
Yeah, we shall.
Yeah.
But you did see the Super Bowl, right, Phil?
You're goddamn right I did.
Whoa!
I watched the Super Bowl, the game to end all games.
This is an exciting podcast. We're at the Nexus. This is the first podcast after the Super Bowl, and it's the first Olympics podcast.
I know. It's a sports jamboree.
I would go with that. I would go with sports jamboree.
I don't know. The first word that came to my mind was actually jambalaya.
Is this the second Olympics we've covered on the podcast?
This is the second Olympics we have received press credentials for.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
This one is Sochi.
The Sochi
The last
games.
one was not Sochi. I don't remember what it was.
It was
London.
less chi than
London.
this one.
Last one was London. The
Yeah.
one before that, China.
Yeah. We did not cover China.
The one before that, Turin.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they were in Italy.
Oh, they were
before.
touring. They were
touring.
Stop by stop in different towns.
Yeah. But yeah, so this is exciting. Of course, by the time that you listen to this podcast, the opening ceremony will have already happened. We are recording on a Thursday night. Sorry to pull back the curtain, folks. But tomorrow night, Friday, is when they're going to have the big opening ceremony.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to speak specifically about it. We do have just a few things that we're going to say about the opening ceremony, just so that we have that covered. These are the things that we're going to say about the opening ceremony, having not seen it.
Yeah. Oh, the choreography was
Oh,
amazing.
yeah. The costumes were amazing.
there's
and the
flame
pageantry.
symbolism.
Did
of
you
the
see that
flame.
Pepsi commercial?
Really dug into
Oh,
Russian
that was
history in a way that was
bunch of 'em.
interesting and featured
Really
musicians.
a
who-
celebration
Probably a guy
of the
jumping on
culture.
stage.
Amazing. Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Okay, that should about cover it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What else we moving on to?
Tim Tebow update. Watch update.
Tim Tebow update watch update brought to you by
feel the rush in your mouth.
That was
It keeps happening. We keep getting that.
interesting vowel sounds in that drop.
Hey, as long as the checks still say payable to sports.
That's what they haven't cut it off
Absolutely.
yet.
We got bills to pay.
We do.
That's why we need our sponsors.
Yeah.
Tim Tebow shines during Super Bowl. Subheadline: that was an intentionally misleading headline because we're referring to a Super Bowl ad.
Oh, I see. I was going to say, I remember him
which
specifically
was
not playing football right
Pretty
now.
good, if memory serves.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Tim Tebow starred in a T-Mobile advertisement in which he espoused the virtues of not having an NFL contract. It allowed him to deliver babies, catch Bigfoot, deliver a groundbreaking speech at the UN,
Oh, yep.
in which he chastised Iceland,
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
They've been asking for it.
and he threw a football on the moon, which is presumably now the longest football throw in history.
Yeah.
Wait, did he?
Actually, Neil
but they
Armstrong's got a better arm than Tim Tebow.
But he
so
didn't-
He's still.
But he did not throw a football. while
Oh,
he was
that's
on
right,
there.
he
Not
didn't.
only that, but he was throwing it from a studio in Burbank, so it wouldn't have gone very far.
The ad had much better reception than the wireless carrier.
Whoa!
Meow.
Zing.
Tebow performed well in the commercial, and the former Bronco probably could have also thrown 2 interceptions. He may have even also scored 8 points. Of course, we'll never know how the Tebow era would have gone in Denver.
Yeah. Fair point.
Tebow ran 3 30-second spots during the big game on Sunday, with
Super
Tebow
Bowl.
appearing in 2 of them. Yeah, we can say Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have to call it the big game in advertisements.
Right, because of the copyright.
Yeah.
Trademark.
Vons is saying, get your nacho dip for the big game.
Right, and then you go, what big game? And they're like, shut up.
I don't want to talk about it. This is not Tebow's first Super Bowl appearance. As a commercial actor,
Oh.
in 2010, the devout Christian appeared in a spot with his mom, Pam. It was sponsored by the pro-life organization Focus on the Family. It was an ad that sparked controversy and has not seen Pam Tebow get commercial work since.
When are we going to do
Yeah.
the Pam Tebow update, watch update?
Tim Tebow update, watch update.
Tim Tebow update watch update brought to you by.
Meadows feel the rush in your mouth.
Oh, I really like that. That one sounded the most like a normal commercial drop that I think we've ever gotten from Mentos.
Could have been.
been.
Maybe it was a professional commercial drop.
And I'll tell you
They're all
what, we're
professional
gonna expand the Google News alerts to include Pam Tebow.
Yeah, we should. I would love to hear what Pam is up to these days.
Pam Tebow, proud of her son.
So let's see what we have in the show this week.
We have
We have Patrick Brandenburg.
this is our Olympic correspondent.
Yes, we now have an official field reporter who we're going to send out to stuff, and so he is in Sochi right now reporting in the games for us.
And this guy is great. He was on the McNair-Lure News Hour.
McNeil Lair News Hour.
I'm mispronouncing it.
He wrote for the Wall Street Journal.
Right.
I think the LA Times. He most recently was fired from the Chicago Sun.
Oh, fired.
when
I
they
believe he was laid off.
Downsized, and their loss is our gain. We have a primo guy now working for the podcast.
I feel like for the past year and a half, I've been begging you guys for us to get a field reporter for the Olympics.
Yep.
And we haven't gotten one until just now.
Yep.
And I'm glad you guys finally came around.
Nope. Yep.
No,
you were right about that, Phil.
Yeah,
We did. I mean, we've
absolutely.
needed a field reporter for any number of different events.
No, I wanted one just for the Olympics, an Olympics expert.
Well, we'll see. Brandenburg may stay on.
All right.
He's got quite the pedigree,
accolades behind him.
the credentials backing him.
Ooh, pedigree,
Indeed.
like the dog food.
We also have Kris Humphries.
Yeah,
He'll be
Kris
on.
Humphries is
On
going to
the
come
other
back.
end of our contributor spectrum,
Kris
Humphries is going to be back in the show.
Well, we know him because he loves commercials.
He does. He can't
Yeah.
get enough of commercials. And the Super Bowl, for people like me, sports outsiders,
Yeah.
it's really the Super Bowl of commercials.
I should say that we did specifically ask Kris to come on and do Super Bowl analysis, but I think we all know that we're probably going to get commercials.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we teed it up like that.
Yeah, oh, totally.
I think we kind of understand how Kris reads our emails.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
So-
he sees the word commercial, and then he just giggles and then responds yes.
It wouldn't matter if we'd said commercial.
Right.
Was just watching the commercials.
That's
So-
probably true.
And Phil, do we have a weird sportsman?
You're goddamn right we do, and thank you
Oh.
for saying Smin.
No, it's just men.
Okay.
Sports? Oh, it was weird sport. Nope, you're right. It's a smin.
I'm looking forward to the day when we run out of weird sportsmen and we just go to weird men.
Finally, I'll have something to talk about.
This week, Jeffrey Dahmer. Oh, Phil.
Ooh, that got macabre.
Yeah.
News?
Oh, yeah, let's do news.
Let's do it. News on the Sports Podcast with Jordan, Joel, and Phil.
News. Seattle Seahawks win Super Bowl.
What?
What?
Yeah.
Oh. I
The
didn't see how
Seattle
it ended.
Seahawks won like 2 Super Bowls.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Well, no, this is
If
a week
you've had
ago
it
now.
on your
Some people
TiVo,
went
if
to
you
DVR it.
had it in your TiVo for a week, sorry, we just screwed you on that one.
Guys,
Tim
guys-
Tebow, update what? Oh.
Don't talk about the Super Bowl, guys.
Yeah.
I'm still behind.
By the
I gotta
way,
catch
in
up.
the second season of Game of Thrones,
I'm through the first round of the playoffs. I got the other ones on my DVR. I'm gonna get to them. I promise.
we want to talk about the Super Bowl.
You know what? I'll just go out at lunch if you guys want to talk about it. No, you can eat here.
God, I hate those people.
The Super Bowl was hyped as a matchup of the NFL's best defense versus the NFL's best offense, and ended up looking a lot like a scrimmage of varsity versus JV.
It was so bad.
It was so bad. The final was Seahawks 43, Broncos 8. But don't let the score deceive you. It was not that close.
Not that close.
It didn't feel close.
It was pretty bad.
And they
again,
were hyping it differently at the beginning than the end. At the beginning, they were like the boom boom room versus the iron arm or something like that.
It was the Legion of Boom.
Yeah, that's the one.
The
And they made
LOB,
and
Legion of Boom.
They dropped that very quickly. They were not talking
well, the
about
boom was so apparent you didn't need to keep referencing
Right.
it. And we should say, I mean, when they said best offense, they didn't just mean like this year. Maybe ever.
Yeah.
Like most points scored, best season by a quarterback, statistically speaking.
And
like,
now the Seahawks are going down with the best defenses in terms of the 85 Bears.
have to.
What is it? 2010 Ravens or 2000 Ravens? Am I thinking of?
Yeah, probably the
2000
What
Ravens.
year did the Bucks win the Super Bowl? I mean, they had great defenses for like 6 years in a row, but the one that they won
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you mean just the Steelers?
no, I mean the Tampa Bay
Oh,
Buccaneers.
2002. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I
So,
didn't know if you were using the
all great
colloquialism
defenses,
for
but
this.
yeah, I mean, if they hadn't been in that conversation before, to hold the all-time top-scoring offense ever to 8 points, you gotta.
I agree.
Things start off poorly for the Broncos with a botched snap that resulted in a safety,
Oh, that was so terrible.
and the guy who made the prop bet for the first score in the Super Bowl being a safety would have funded his great-grandchildren's college fund if tuition wasn't expected to reach $1 million a semester by 2075.
Yeah.
That's in-state, too.
Yeah, that's in-state. On the ensuing possession, the Seahawks got a field goal, making it 5-0, and the guy who had 5-0 for the first quarter score in the square game was hoping for 11 minutes of defense. Like, how did this hit? I got 5.
Yeah.
Believe
it or not, our friend Craig was that guy. It was like, I'm going to get this. And it was like, there's 11 minutes left.
Another field goal and touchdown later found the Seahawks up 15-0. At this point, Broncos fans began to scowl at people who laughed at any Super Bowl commercial. What's so funny about Cheerios, huh, Becky? The child, she was negotiating from a position of strength, and it's cute. Shut the fuck up, Becky. Nobody asked you.
It was a position. It was great when kids take on adult attributes.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
It was 22-0 at halftime, which made it impossible for the Broncos fans to enjoy an outstanding Super Bowl halftime show. And instead, they drunkenly rambled about the ethnicity of Bruno Mars. Ooh. Mars ain't no name I ever heard of. Maybe he's from Mars. I swear to God, Becky.
I think he's half Puerto Rican, half
Filipino, I think, right?
Oh, yeah.
I believe it's some Southeastern Asian.
Yeah, it's Filipino, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. He's 100% dreamboat in my book.
It's right.
Dream Bodie.
It was an outstanding halftime.
I guess apparently only the vocals and Mars's drum solo were live. Everything else was pre-taped.
Whatever.
But I mean,
you know what? The dancing was great. The choreography.
Yeah. Oh, dude, him doing the James Brown moves. I mean, very clearly a lot of James Brown reference. The hair, the outfit, and then he actually.
Well, the backup guys look like the Temptations, though. You know, in terms of how they were all choreographed. Oh, is that
and the Red Hot Chili Peppers were really forgettable too.
They were really shoehorned in there.
Yeah, really didn't fit.
You have to figure it was something like Bruno Mars in and of himself wasn't quite a big enough draw, so they had to get like somebody who was a sort of a bigger name, which was the Chili Peppers based on reputation.
Bruno Mars being vintagey and not in a good way, in a way where it's like, oh, they're too old to be having that haircut.
Yeah.
How come they're not wearing the underpants?
Right.
Huh?
They must be chilly.
And also, like, it's one thing for Bruno Mars, but for the Red Hot Chili Peppers to be playing with the tape over, like, that's your rock and roll credentials are seriously damaged by that.
Yeah.
This was the largest deficit faced by the Broncos this year, and the only time they were held scoreless for a half. For reference, Joel has been held scoreless since college.
Oh, dog, dag, y'all.
Not technically true.
I know, I was there.
You shouldn't have to say technically.
No, it's
no, technically though. You know, technically, I once
in the 9 years since college, I have had sex at least once.
Technically.
I think it was just you dimpled the chat.
Yeah,
I don't know if you got.
By technically, he meant with a machine.
An 87-yard kickoff return at the start of the second half made it 29-0. At which point, Broncos fans became much, much more critical of their Super Bowl party's snack offerings. Wow. Damn it, Becky! It's the biggest game of the year, and I'm looking at hummus and sorry-ass pita chips and an awful-looking party sub. Honey, it's just a game. That was the one thing I told you not to say, Becky! The one goddamn thing!
The worst thing you could possibly say to someone upset about a sporting event. It's just a game. Those 4 words will get you punched in the face if you're not careful.
A Russell Wilson touchdown pass to Jermaine Kris made it 36-0 later in the third quarter, and the Puppy Bowl saw a huge rating spike.
Oh, I believe it.
And sadly, Becky was murdered.
Yeah.
Oh, I was wondering how Becky was going to turn out.
Nope, that arc's over.
Oh, jeez. Did they find the killer?
Yeah.
Okay, just
because that guy was yelling at her.
Oh, my God, what a twist. What a twist.
But things weren't all bad for the Broncos as Peyton Manning set a Super Bowl record for completions. And that record set the record for the most meaningless record of all time.
Wait, I think he broke his own record then.
Yes.
For completions in a Super Bowl?
Yeah, it was like 33.
Wow.
Wait, he really did? Wow. Did not seem like he completed that many.
No, it's the most meaningless record of all time. Olympic fever hit Sochi.
Olympic fever hit Sochi. Brought to you by
NyQuil. Don't you get your Olympic fever now out in the cold now, kids.
Athletes and journalists alike are hospitalized as the neurovirus contaminated the city's water supply.
Oh!
We really meant a fever.
Oh.
We were not being
Yeah.
cute with that.
Oh my gosh.
No, actually, that was just your standard Sochi Olympics is a tire fire joke. Hashtag, you're Phil, you know social media.
I do.
Hashtag Sochi Problems is trending on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's really bad for Sochi and the Olympics. Bad PR.
Can I go ahead and say something? Where's the sense of adventure from these journalists? Like, I feel like this happens now with the Super Bowl, with this. Like, you're traveling to, like, a major event. You shouldn't be pissing and moaning about the quality of your hotel room. Like, maybe that's part of the local flavor. Maybe you should be taking in the experience for all it's worth. Instead of being like, oh, my luxurious accommodations aren't as luxurious as they were in London.
Yeah, but sometimes we'll get there. We'll
Okay,
get there.
yeah.
Now, Sochi Problems trending on Twitter only because hashtag Second World Problems would confuse post-Cold War kids who would correct you and say, dude, it's hashtag First World Problems and it doesn't apply here.
Do they talk like that because they're just getting the dude you're getting Adele commercials in the second world?
Excellent, correct application of the difference between first, second, and third world.
Thank
that
you, Joel.
Almost no one understands anymore. They're just like, oh, third world is poor.
Right.
First world is not.
They skip the second world.
Skip the second. It serves a purpose.
Of course, hotel room problems are like polluted snowflakes. No two are completely alike, but they still burn your face. Some rooms are missing light bulbs and curtains. Some do not have TVs or Wi-Fi. Others do not have lamps or heat. And one hotel room came with a bonus feature, a stray dog.
Nice.
Again,
that'd be fun.
That's not those aren't the jokes. But in short, it's almost as if the Olympics are being held in Russia.
Are they, Jordan,
See?
they are.
Yeah.
Right in Sochi. Right in Sochi.
On the plus side, if they didn't before, all these hotels now have an amazing social media presence. Courtesy of incredulous tweets of Western journalists who, let's face it, are just going to spend the whole Olympics getting drunk anyway.
It's
Yeah.
true. That's what business trips are
like
all
the
about.
Russians.
Yeah, right.
Oh, Joel, that's racist.
No, I think we can look at per capita alcohol consumption across the world, and I would be correct in saying that Russians drink a lot.
As long as you don't count my shower as a place, then yes, I agree. It's probably the highest.
Slope-style snowboarding is gnarly. This comes from the LA Times.
Whoa.
The newest Olympic event is slope-style snowboarding. It's an obstacle course of rails and jumps that, if you're familiar with the X Games, or if you've drank
Not
Mountain
familiar
Dew,
with the X Games.
You
Oh,
know
I've
the
drank
X-
Mountain Dew.
then you know what slope-style snowboarding is.
All of a sudden I drank a Mountain Dew, and then I found myself on top of a cliff jumping out with a parachute on my back. And I'm like, how did I get here?
I just
20
wanted to
years
pop.
earlier, you would have needed a York peppermint patty to
That's
get
true.
the same thing.
That's true.
But yeah, no, that's when you're like grinding on rails. And you're doing
Yeah.
jumps. It's like an obstacle course. But apparently, slopestyle was fast-tracked into the Olympics only 3 years ago, an unusual departure for the usually incredibly corrupt International Olympic Committee.
Yeah.
But the same danger that makes the sport interesting and worthy of Mountain Dew sponsorship is turning off some Olympic participants.
Uh-oh.
The pussies.
You will not say that about Shaun White, the most famous snowboarder in the world.
Ever.
Which, yeah, but ever. Bit of a caveat there.
The
Yeah.
snowboarder that people can name.
Final Jeopardy category, snowboarders.
Shaun White.
Shaun White.
Who is Shaun White?
Who is Shaun
Oh,
White?
you
Correct.
would have gotten it wrong.
Default Trivial Pursuit answer for snowboarder,
Right.
Shaun White.
He abruptly withdrew from slopestyle a day before the competition would have began.
So they canceled it, right?
They should have.
Can you hold snowboarding events without Shaun White?
Why?
I always assumed
Why?
I always assumed that he was also in the women's snowboarding competitions.
Just to spice it up.
Yeah, well, because what's the point in holding? a
He's
snowboarding
still the
event without
flying
him?
tomato, right? Am I thinking of
Could be. I don't know. He cut his hair.
I thought it was a caged tomato
really?
because he was in jail that time.
Yeah, remember we covered that.
That
on
was in the
podcast.
metadata
That was.
of a sports podcast. White's decision was the culmination of days of mounting evidence that event organizers had overreached and assembled a course that was risky even by the standards of this alternative sport. One Finnish competitor said the course crossed the line from gnarly to sketchy, which I can assure you sounded awesome in Finnish.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant that he had like just completed the course.
Nope. Injuries! Earlier this week, a practice in the slopestyle competition resulted in Torstein Hornmo of Norway falling on a jump during a
If
practice
If
run.
it's a Scandinavian word, you should let Phil pronounce it.
That one?
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yep.
Phil.
Yep.
He broke his collarbone,
Oh,
ending his
ouch.
Olympics. And a Finnish competitor This is not the same one who gave us the quote. Crashed on the course's third and final jump, hit her head, and was hauled off in a stretcher.
Ooh.
Sean White jammed his wrist.
So you could say
someone needs to explain the rule of threes to the LA Times. You don't end with someone jamming their wrist. You save the worst injuries for last.
So that poor lady who hit her head, I guess you could say that she's finished.
Oh, God.
Damn it, Joel. God.
Olympic officials scrambled to tweak the course. They thought the snow would melt in the run-up to the competition, this being kind of a subtropical climate there.
Yeah.
They attempted to reshape the jumps that one athlete compared to leaping from the top of a building. Athletes reported the rails were too sticky and, like Russian women, needed to be waxed.
Whoa.
Yes!
Sorry, Russian
Sage Kotzenberg, one of Sean White's Olympic teammates, called the modified course sick. And the LA Times then goes on to explain that this is a compliment in the snowboarding community.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. They did the exact same thing in Morning Edition today.
What, said that sick was
They
good?
they had the quote that said it was sick and then had to explain that sick was good.
I
in
wish
this
they could have played
context.
the flashback to like 40 years ago. The kids are now saying bad, meaning good. If someone says that's so bad, they actually mean cool or good. Canadian snowboarder Mark McMorris, who is trying to push forward despite suffering a broken rib less than 2 weeks ago in the X Games, said, snowboarding is dangerous. Like crossing a street is dangerous. Yeah, just like Canadian snowboarders are retarded. Like retards are retarded. What the fuck did you just say?
I kind of follow his lines of logic, though.
Crossing a street, not as dangerous as snowboarding.
Yeah, but it's the same
Especially
thing.
if you
like,
look- if you
when
look
you're going to
both
go, you're going
ways.
to go. If you're a brother of the road, you're going to go someday.
My soul is prepared. Is yours?
Yeah, exactly. I made right with God. How about you, Jordan? How you doing?
The snow's getting, he went on to say, the snow's getting better. It's still a bit icy. I mean, it's a dangerous course. Every course is dangerous. It is a risk we take, dropping in every time. We don't drop into a mellow, easy course as much as the downhill skiers don't drop into a bunny hill. We're snowboarders. This is the life we've chosen for ourselves. And it's a volunteer Olympic team. Support our snowboarders. We're setting up a Wounded Snowboarder project. The podcast is supporting.
This is sounding a lot like the NFL's explanation for why it should be okay for people to play with concussions.
And it also sounds like the back of a No Fear t-shirt.
It does. It sounds just like the back of a No Fear t-shirt.
USA! 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 Joining us now in the studio is our favorite commentator and contributor, and that is Kris Humphries.
To be honest, that is a very nice introduction. Saying that I'm your favorite, I'm sure that you have lots of big guests on this show.
Oh, we do. We've had any number of massive, huge guests, but Kris, you remain our favorite.
Oh, now I'm blushing.
I can tell.
Yeah,
You
I've got
rosy cheeks, you.
Oh, now I'm blushing even more because you're talking about my rosy cheeks. I'm double blushing. Hey, I'm so excited about this week.
Why is that?
Because the Super Bowl just ended.
Yeah.
And the Olympic Games are coming. I don't know if you've already covered that on this episode or not.
We've a little bit.
We've definitely delved into that.
But you know what that means? It's like a
Lots of good
perfect
sports.
storm of commercials.
Oh, no.
It's like when a warm front of commercials hits another warm front of commercials, and it creates a warm front NATO of commercials.
Cold fronts would create storms.
You've
It's
got
not-
that
it's
right,
not
Joel
important.
Anderson. And because of that, Kris Humphries has the poop on commercials.
Oh,
We're still using that as a
yep,
segment
we're still
branding.
using that
I
as a
got the
spec
poop.
segment name. Okay. I don't suppose you have anything to say about the actual sports that occurred in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I got lots of
coming
stuff
up.
to say about the Super Bowl.
Well, let's hear it.
Let's hear it.
What's the deal with Bruno Mars and the Red Hot Chili Peppers? Bruno Mars was so good, the Red Hot Chili Peppers were jumping around like ape people.
Yep.
What's up with that?
What is up? I don't know. It's
It was like there was a time warp. Like
Yeah.
a portal opened up and like 1996 came up through 2013, 2014 now.
It's like a episode of Back to the Future.
It exists exactly like an episode of Back to the Future.
Where they say, well, we're going, we don't need roads. Oh, shit, the Red Hot Chili Peppers are hanging on to the back of the car. We got to lose them. Oh, no, drop them off over the Super Bowl in 2014. Then they landed on, they said, well, there's a crowd here. We might as well sing the Give It Away song.
didn't come out in socks. I was a little upset about that. Was really hoping they'd go for that one.
I know.
Pretty cold out though.
But
so.
what else? What else you got?
Does
for us?
anybody else want to eat Doritos?
Not particularly.
Because after those commercials, I can't stop eating Doritos.
Is that so, Chris?
Yeah, do you remember in the first commercial there was a kid who was trying to get this guy in a time machine. The time machine was a cardboard box, but that guy wanted to play along.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the kid went away, and then an old man was like, "What are you doing inside that box? You're on my lawn like Gran Torino." Right? And then he comes out and he thinks the kid is the old man. It was funny. To be honest, I laughed about that so much that I didn't even watch the first half of the game.
Oh. Well, I mean, I didn't see that commercial. I was I think I went to the bathroom because I didn't want to miss any of the game.
You're a thinner for saying that. You're a thinner. That's a thin. That is a cardinal thin.
Oh, well, I mean, I've been losing weight. I do.
Look, I don't think you understand the premise of this very nuanced short comedy. Okay, so the kid told him to get inside of a time machine, but the time machine, it was very clear it wasn't a time machine. It was a cardboard box.
Okay.
And then an old man comes and takes the kid's place and goes, "Get off my lawn and stuff." Like
Oh,
the Asian from Gran Torino.
so the guy thought that the kid's time machine
When he left the
actually
time
worked.
machine, he thought it worked. But that's ridiculous because the time machine made out of cardboard. Look, it's like an episode of Back to the Future.
Okay, you know what?
Okay, What else do you have to say about the Super Bowl?
All right. Okay, so there was one particular Super Bowl moment that really resonated with me.
What's that?
Oh, was it probably the kickoff return at the opening of the second half?
It was
safety?
even better. It
Beginning
was
of the
when
game?
3 British bad guys from movies all told me to buy a Jaguar.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. One of them was Loki from Thor.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he didn't have his staff or his Nordic gear on or anything. He was just a dude. He was still really creepy.
All of them they're all bad. They're all British bad guys.
Yeah, they
right?
were all like, "All right, I'm British." They were like that.
Is that what they sounded like?
Yeah, and I was like, "Wow, it is good to be bad. Look at that car."
Well, we know you shouldn't buy a Jaguar. You should buy a Chrysler because it's made in America.
Oh, like that Bob Dylan commercial?
Yeah, I didn't
What's
actually
more
hear any of
American
that,
than
but-
being American?
Nothing, right?
I would argue Kim Kardashian's butt.
I would say maybe ice cold.
Oh, that's what's cooler than being cool.
Oh darn it! I got it mixed up.
But only to the fellas. The ladies have something very different in store. They're supposed to be shaking it like a Polaroid picture instead.
Yeah.
God, I love that song.
We know, Chris.
If they did a new version of Jock Jams, that would be track number 1 and number 2.
Every time we have you on the show,
And
we
the
have to-
remix at the end.
Yeah, they would do like a pop mix.
Every time we have in the show, we have to tell you to stop singing it before we can introduce you.
Yeah. Don't
Yeah.
want you in my caddy. Just want to meet your daddy.
So what
Good lyric.
What was your favorite commercial of the Super Bowl? If you had to pick one, can you pick one or two of your absolute favorite commercials?
Well, let's see. There was I would say if I had to pick my number 1, it would be that little dog who's in love with that horse.
God, I
To
hated
be
that
honest,
commercial.
no, to be honest, Joel, don't look, Joel, to be honest, that commercial made me think that dog and that horse have a very special relationship.
Don't think they do.
I'll be honest.
No, those two they'll never be apart. Even though they've only known each other for
Chris,
a short while.
To be honest, I thought it was schlocky garbage.
No, to be honest, they had their moment in the sun on television where America watched them fall in love, and that love is gonna last forever. Cause that's what television relationships do.
Well,
They last forever.
Well, you know,
that's not entirely true. People get divorced all the time who meet on
Oh,
television.
do they get divorced all the time, Joel?
Oh, yeah.
Joel, I
like, think
think
People
about
who become popular.
Oh,
is that
remember
what
maybe
happened?
keeping up
Tread
with the
lightly, Joel.
Kardashians?
Is
that
the
what
guy that
happens?
she married was, oh, shit. I can't believe
Yeah, I was
did
just
that.
like that puppy, and Kim Kardashian was a big stupid whore.
I have
Well,
yet again.
what's weird about you
boy.
enjoying that commercial was you usually don't like the more sentimental ones. Usually you like
Yeah.
the funny ones. You know?
Right, but that one hit me in a very deep place.
Yeah, it tugged at your heartstrings.
It reminded me of my longest, most famous relationship.
Yeah.
Perhaps
And
you haven't seen the news.
I am sorry about bringing that up, Chris. I always seem to do that, and I am really sorry.
It's
once
really
it's
I'm
done.
starting to think you're not that sorry,
It's
Joel.
a painful memory for you, Chris, and every time you're on, I feel like I find a way to bring it up, and I feel terrible.
Fine. Well, let's cut to the juice. Let's get to the
Let's
juice
get
of the poop. All right,
yeah.
the
Let's
poop
get your
juice.
top
Let's get to the juice
commercial.
of the poop.
All
Your
right.
top
The
commercial.
number 1 commercial has one of my stars, Arnold Schwarzenegger, wearing a little blonde wig, playing table tennis with that guy who didn't know. He was like, "What is that?" I'm in a room and now there's Arnold, and he's talking jive.
This is the big fake commercial they set up for a while.
No, it wasn't fake. They took a guy and kidnapped him, and then took him on a Bud Light journey through time and space.
I think that commercial was one of those like you had to be there for it to be funny.
No,
Like, I think
I
it
was
very,
there. I was there watching it, and I was excited to be watching it. That guy had an amazing time.
Any other examples that we have of people taking journeys through time and space? Like, was it?
It's kind of like that episode of Back to the Future.
Was it?
Yeah, a little bit. Which was also a very funny movie. That dog was named Einstein. There's no way a dog can be as smart as Einstein.
That's probably true.
Maybe a dolphin.
Kris, we got to thank you once again for coming on the podcast.
Hey, and it's been a pleasure sharing my poop with all of you.
So, Kris, we would really like you to stick around this time so we can talk about the name of the segment.
No, I gotta go. Bye.
All right. Thank you very much, Kris. Joining us now via the Manziel hotline. Manziel, put your man boobs in a Manziel today.
Say it with a little more confidence.
Hey, I'm not good doing the sponsorships.
Okay, that's fine. No, it's still good.
I'm more like a Paul Harvey type when it comes to reading the sponsors.
I'm more like a Steve Harvey type.
Hello, are we on right now?
Oh,
yes,
I'm sorry.
Are we on? I couldn't. Was that my intro?
Yes, Patrick Brandenburg.
And this is live. What we're recording.
No, Patrick. This is a podcast. It's
pre-recorded.
Pre-recorded.
Yes,
Yes.
we edit out all the flubs.
Okay, you have to understand that. Okay, I'm not used to that, but I will adjust.
We know, but we were happy to have you. Now
You're not
going to
put this on the podcast, are you?
No, this is all on the podcast now.
But you said it wasn't live.
No, it's
presumably we could edit this conversation
No, this
out.
is the good stuff, though.
We're
don't
live
wanna
to
lose
tape.
this.
We're live to tape.
Okay, for good God. All right. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and move on here because I have a real
Have you never
hard-hitting
done
piece.
this before?
This is my first podcast. I've
Jeez,
won.
how can you be a big time reporter and you've never been on a podcast?
Yeah, you should have gone undercover
kind
in
of
a
embarrassing,
podcast
really.
ring.
Well,
or
it's
something.
my 35 years of working for television news and newspapers, I suppose.
Television's a dying medium.
Does your podcast have 2 Pulitzers?
If there was we could probably get a Streamy or a Webby award someday.
Okay, that's all right. Listen, I should probably move on. I have a pretty hard-hitting piece here that I wanted to get to you guys about what's going on in Sochi right now.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about this earlier. What's going on in Sochi?
Yeah,
the way the gay athletes are being treated
They
in the
have
Olympic
yellow
Village.
water. They're drinking
right.
yellow
and
water.
they have to share bathroom stalls, so they have to poop in the same
They have
room
to
as someone else
poop next to
poop.
someone
Okay,
else.
I really
pooping.
feel like these
And they
stories
have-
are drawing attention away from the very important reality of how homosexuals are being treated in Russia right now and how that's affecting the athletes who are
Have you
visiting.
ever stayed in a hotel room before where like you try to turn on the lamp and the little turn on thing keeps spinning? Like it's not even attached to anything?
Yeah, it just keeps spinning. It's like you lotioned your hands.
Right,
and you just can't get a
exactly.
good
It's
grip.
like,
But it's
now,
just
now we're
yeah,
just talking about
turning.
random hotel rooms.
Well, tell us about yours. What's
Yeah.
weird? What's going on? Do you not have an iron? Is your iron like a plastic Fisher Price iron?
My
Was there a
hotel
sick
room?
donkey inside your room? when you
Okay,
entered?
well, okay. If you guys, okay, so my hotel room, I should point out that based on the budget supplied for travel by the, I'm sorry, there's some sort of typo in what I'm reading here. The sports. That's probably just the sports podcast, right?
No, there's
No,
sports. The name of it.
That's the name of the podcast. The
Sports
podcast.
Yeah, because there's 3 of us.
Okay, well, the Sports podcast does have an extremely low budget. Most of the things I have been reading about bees being found in honey, strangely positioned bathrooms, water, those are all at hotels that I could not afford on the budget that you guys have provided me.
Wait,
Oh.
bees being found in honey? That sounds magical.
Yes, the bees are not
know
found
it's
in the
fresh.
honey where I'm staying. The bees are just everywhere constantly. The entire house doesn't appear to have any screens on it. It's also hard to call it a hotel. There are 3 rooms that are being rented out upstairs, but it mostly appears to be a family dwelling that is trying to jump onto the extra Sochi traffic.
So
Yeah.
can you tell us about what's weird about your hotel? Like what's going
Oh,
on? Is
God.
it toilet
I don't
paper like
think anything-
sandpaper?
I don't think anything is weird in regards to a working class dwelling in this part of Russia. There is no toilet paper. The bathroom has a single toilet and no sink, and our water is delivered to us each morning in a steel bucket.
What kind of stacking dolls do they have? I bet they have a lot
Stacking-
of
Oh, those
Russian
are
stacking
crazy.
dolls.
Again, I do have a very hard-hitting piece on how the homosexual athletes
okay,
in
that's
Sochi are being
great.
treated
That's
at their-
great, Patrick. But
it's an important-
we'd really like to focus on all the weird stuff that's going on over
Is this the
there.
first time that Russians have ever seen Pepsi?
Okay, well,
Is
I
Pepsi sponsoring everything? They're like,
No.
what is this?
That's
fizzy
a dramatic
drink?
mischaracterization
write
of the
for
nation of
newspaper.
Russia.
In
I'm
Mother
sorry.
Russia, Pepsi,
Go
drink
away!
you.
Go away, please.
Whoa, are we losing you
I'm
over
sorry,
there?
there's a large number of stray dogs staying at this hotel too. I guess staying's the wrong word. I have
They
not been
guests
able to
at the
put,
hotel, Patrick.
Yeah,
Are they paying for a room?
they're obviously not
crazy.
paying. I haven't been able to put a precise number on how many there are, but I have counted at least 24 different dogs.
That sounds like a fun, like it's a theme hotel where there's
Yeah.
fun dogs.
Or
not
maybe
a
the
theme
dogs
hotel.
are in like a Russian family circus.
Oh, that'd be
No,
hilarious.
the
Like
dogs all
those
do
little
tricks.
things on their-
This was
Little
referred
dots
to,
behind them when they run around.
was referred to as a bed and breakfast on Yelp, but I'm pretty sure the breakfast is the dogs.
Well,
Which is, by the way,
protein.
that is not a traditional meal at all in Russia. This is just a house that apparently eats the stray
I
dogs.
totally would buy Russia as one of those places where they eat
Oh,
dog.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Also,
yeah.
this place only got 3 stars on Yelp.
Look, are you going to complain the whole time?
Oh, my gosh.
What
It's
is
like-
this?
I wanted
you
to
sound
talk
like
about-
my ex-stepmom.
Okay, listen. This is time for me to go ahead and talk about, I believe, a lot of really unprofessional things
Oh
about the
my
way that you guys are
gosh.
operating your
No. Okay, we hung up
We
on him.
hung
I
up.
didn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
This guy's so full of himself. Can you believe this guy?
Yeah, he must have won the Pulitzer Prize for being an asshole.
For you, the listeners of Sports Podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. I personally recommend a wonderful book called The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Joel saw the movie. He said that it was okay. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/comedy podcast network. Again, that's audibletrial.com/comedy podcast network for your free audiobook.
And now it's time for another Weird Sportsman! Weird Sportsman. This week's Weird Sportsman, Kevin Martin.
Who is Kevin Martin?
Kmart.
Kevin Martin, nicknamed Old Bear and Kmart. Do you know Kevin Martin?
Yeah, I believe he's a basketball player, right?
No.
No?
Nope.
Well,
This
also,
Kevin
if
Martin.
your last name is Martin and your first name starts with Kevin, or
Yeah.
starts with K.
It was.
your first
I was
name
really
starts with
impressed
Kevin.
for a second. I was kind of disappointed. I thought this was a good pull because this one's Winter Olympic themed. So
Then I was thinking-
Kmart's a pretty natural nickname, though.
yeah, it makes sense. I was just blown away for a second. Well, you wouldn't have guessed the Old Bear as his other one.
No, I would have guessed Pete.
Right. He was born July 31st, 1966. He's a Canadian curler from Edmonton. He is a 4-time Brier championship, has been to 3 Winter Olympics, and was the gold medal winner at the 2010 Winter Olympics. Do the math, ladies and gentlemen. Born 1966.
So that would make him 47, 40, 48 right now.
Potentially
Yeah.
48.
But he won a gold medal in 2010.
Well, it's curling.
Yeah. He's a gold medal athlete. The
So
young
he's over
curlers
40.
couldn't take him. Yeah.
So is he the oldest gold medal winner?
I don't know. I don't think so, or else it seems like it would have said that here,
I
and
would
it doesn't.
suspect that gold medal winners in curling tend to skew older.
I don't know. You have to move that brush real quick.
Yeah, but I still think you could do that when you're in your 40s and 50s.
Yeah, he's a former world champion and has won 14 Grand Slam titles on
Wait, there's
the
a Grand
World
Slam of
Curling Tour.
curling?
Yep, and he won 14 Grand Slams.
You got the Winnipeg Open. You got the Vancouver Open.
Yeah.
And you got the Edmonton Open.
right?
What about the Edinburgh Open?
Oh, that one's considered the 4th Grand Slam
Right,
in
yeah.
quotes. It's not, it's
Oh, I
like
gotcha.
it's like the TPC in golf, the Australian Open in tennis.
I have no frame of reference. The media actually counts 17, including 3 Players' Championships won prior to its inclusion as a Grand Slam event. So 13 or 14, 17, it's still up for curling debate. They should curl to find out who wins that
Curl
debate.
for it.
I gotta
yeah.
think that's one of those things that in bars in Canada people get really surly over.
Yeah, I could
That
see
debate.
that.
Oh, I suppose you're going to count the Edinburgh Opens on the Players' Championships.
Over the course of his career, his teams have won around $2 million.
You can win that much money curling?
Well, it's a team though, so he's
also-
probably only kept like
Over the course of
Still.
20 years.
Yeah,
He plays for like a really good bar band.
right.
He played for a really good bar band over the course of 25 years. You could hypothetically have
you told me you
accumulated
made
$2 million.
$2 million with a bar band. I'd be pretty impressed too.
Yeah,
Like a really good bar band.
like Crosby, Stills and Nash was just a bar band that was really big, right?
Well, actually, Huey Lewis the
No.
News is the most apt thing
Yeah.
I'm thinking of.
Oh, that makes more sense. He was the first skip to win career Grand Slam, winning a title in each of the Grand Slam events after he won the Players' Championships Grand Slam event in April 2005. Martin holds the record for the most Olympic victories with 20 total wins at the Olympics.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So definitely weird. Junior career, early career, 1993, 1999, 1999, 2006, 2006, 2013, blah, blah, blah. I'm throwing stones.
Accusations of pedophilia.
No, wouldn't do that. Personal life. This is how weird this athlete is that he doesn't sound like an athlete.
No.
I found this very weird. Martin is married to Shauna Martin and has 3 children, Carrick, Kalicia, and Michaela.
What is up with those names?
Yeah, right?
A guy named Kevin marries a guy named Shauna, and they come with Carrick, Michaela, and what was the middle one?
Kalicia.
Kalicia?
Yeah.
What is up with that?
Made me think of Game of Thrones. My Khaleesi.
Yeah. But this would have been pre-Game of Thrones when he named this lady.
They named Carrig after the appliance nearby he was conceived.
Yes, the coffee maker,
Yes.
the Keurig.
Yeah, he had her on the counter.
Carrick has curled competitively, most recently as the lead for Brendan Botcher. What a terrible name for a curler, Botcher. He's really gonna screw this one up.
Yeah, what happened with that last stone there? Well, oh, fuck you.
But he was a lead for Brendan Botcher, and he was an alternate for his father at this is the name of an event, the 2013 Tim Hortons Briar. That's right, this curling event brought to you by the most Canadian establishment ever.
Honestly,
Tim Hortons.
if you had said, guess who sponsored blank curling event, Tim Hortons would have been either that or Molson. Those are the only two I could.
Yeah, this is where things start getting weird. Accusations of rape and murder. No. Okay, he made $2 million in the course of his career, but he's an old man. Well, not old, 47. I mean, 47 is the new 20. So
You're basically 47.
shut your mouth. Martin is the owner and operator of Kevin's Rocks and Rackets, a curling supply shop. He's owned the business since 1991, and prior to that, he was an ice maker.
That's a profession?
I think it's an appliance that he kind of wedged his way into.
In Canada, it's a bit different. An ice maker gets on the road, drives about 20 miles north, and gathers ice into large bags.
Right.
And then takes it to party stores.
Right, exactly. Chops
Where they
it
go,
up.
what are you talking about? I just did it outside.
Yeah, exactly.
They're from Jersey, apparently.
Well, Martin also has a degree in petroleum engineering technology from the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology.
Oh, I have one of those.
For which he earned upon graduating in 1987. He also curled at the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology.
He probably
under
went
the
there in a
tutelage-
curling scholarship.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Here's the thing. You want to talk about like your bird courses for athletes, for curlers. Petroleum engineering technology is just, it's like rocks for jocks.
Well, his coach there was Jules Auchoir, who coached Martin since then.
After he left, they got hit with violations.
Right. Auchoir had been
Illegal recruiting, paying players,
slipping a
paying
lot of
curling
poutine
players.
and donut holes under the table.
Giving them extra ice that they were making.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that brings an end to another Weird Sportsman!
Citizens of Podcast Town, this brings to the close another sports podcast. But before we go, Phil would like to give you our contact information.
You can email us at sportspodcast@gmail.com. That's sportspodcast@gmail.com. You can tweet at us at sports3podcast. That's at sports3podcast. You can find us on Facebook by searching sports podcast, your little top bar thingy. You can find us on Stitcher Radio. Download the Stitcher app today at stitcher.com and search for the sports podcast. You can find us on YouTube by going to youtube.com/comedypodnet. That's youtube.com/comedypodnet. While you're there, please subscribe. You can find us on iTunes by searching sports3 space podcast. That's sports3, all one word, space podcast. Please rate and review while you're there. And for all of our back episodes, go to comedypodcastnetwork.com.
Got a little sassy at the end there.
I did. I did a little twang.
Absolutely. Lights off.
You have received this transmission from the Comedy Podcast Network. For more shows, visit comedypodcastnetwork.com.